hearing, there is none this evening. Number 8, general business. 8A, review the annual lodging tax revenue and expense report for 2015. A meeting was held with members of the lodging tax business community with some suggestions made for the council to consider. See attached reports and notes from meeting.
Well, we held a meeting, and there's some folks here that were in attendance. And one of the takeaways was I was going to check with the city attorney about our ordinance. And our lodging tax ordinance does comply with the state statute. Right now there's language in there which indicates that the revenues generated by the lodging tax will go to support tourism efforts in southeast Minnesota. So the city attorney said that if we would like, that would be the language to change to the city of Rushford. And then those funds wouldn't necessarily have to go to Bluff Country. They could just go to another organization in town. Usually those go to chambers that deal with visitor services. So it'd be involved marketing to bring visitors here, or anything that might be of value to visitors, whether it's brochures or online presence or that type of thing. So we could, if the council wishes to change the ordinance, we could direct those funds elsewhere and away from HBC.
Would the chamber have to recreate any of their functions in order to receive that money legally?
Well, I'm not sure about legally, but the council would have to understand that the chamber doesn't represent just the city of Rushford. So you'd have to be willing to allow our lodging tax money to go to a wider area in the valley. Certainly you can argue that going from an organization that represents southeast Minnesota, from Austin to La Crescent, that's one thing. This new group would be from Peterson to Rushford. So in a way it is a lot more targeted than it used to be.
So is HBC still in existence?
Yes. And actually, the report is 2014. And did you get a request for payment?
In January of 2015, we got a request to join HBC again, to pay the $1,500 fee to join HBC. So that's really something it'll have to be decided if we're going to do that again. Because being a member of the HBC, we paid that dues, and then the chamber and the city had voting rights in on that committee, because they were the regional force for advertising and different things. If we have an investment in HBC, the city has other investments in HBC as well. So you could argue that you'd like them to be successful and continue to grow in the area, because they are trying to promote themselves and get more cities to join.
So where are they working out of?
I think the board is
basically whoever has the laptop right now. We still have the post office box in town here, and that's where the mail comes from. And we meet once a month. We got our phone number. We got our website. Gets a lot of hits every month. There's lots of inquiries that come to HBC for tourist information.
And are those inquiries being answered?
Yes.
It would seem to me that the request really is to pay for last year, because we didn't make any payments to HBC last year.
Right, last year we did not.
So it seemed that we should fulfill that obligation, but if we're going to make any changes to the way that we direct the lodging tax, we should do so for 2015. I think that would be fair.
If the lodging tax was redirected, if you will, to the chamber, would there need to be a stipulation that the lodging tax that's collected in the village and Peterson be also directed to the chamber?
Peterson
Send
gives it
some,
right to the city, don't they?
They-
And, yeah, they have
yeah.
coordinated with the chamber on
they
some,
have coordinated.
but the village does not even have an ordinance to collect.
I think that would be something, and again, we were at the meeting, I think that would be something we would wanna have clearly understood before we made that decision. So the council knew where those funds were going and what they could be used for. And if the council would like to have representation, either yourselves or someone from the EDA or the public at large, to represent the city's interest in how those funds are spent.
So, is there any breakdown of the percentages that goes to staying in Rushford or Peterson versus what goes to the HBC?
Yep.
It's broken down on your sheet.
It's all on there. This side tells you HBC was getting 1,500,
Yeah.
and then, we don't have the I-90 sign anymore. We pay the utilities at the depot, because that is the tourist center. That's really the only place any visitors or anybody new to town could go to get basic information. And the chamber is located in the depot building now too. The other promos are like visitors guides, chamber ads, promotionals. For years and years and years, we've done lots of coordinated efforts with the chamber on how we spend the money on advertising. It's Rushford Days, it's Christmas, it's brochures, it's visitor guides, it's Minnesota Tourism, Have Fun Biking. There's just all kinds of different promotionals that nobody can afford to do it by themselves. So when the chamber and the city go together, we get more bang for the bucks. And now, the chamber's done a really good job of pulling in the other cities, of the village and Peterson, to work in coordination. So there's a better tri-city effort on all that.
Does Peterson donate anything?
They have committed, I think, this year.
How about the village on that, trailer park out there?
I don't think they have an
They
ordinance.
don't have an ordinance,
So
they don't
even
collect
collect
it.
it. But that again could be an issue back,
Yeah.
where you would make that recommendation that they enact that ordinance.
There was another thing that came out of the meeting that we had with the lodging folks, was the question, you know, why doesn't, or why wouldn't we try to collect from the campers? You know, from the RV parks.
That'd be for the village, yeah.
Well, yes, I mean, we can't do it, we can potentially do it at our own little RV park up here on the north end, but that's, you know, that's a drop in the bucket compared to what they're experiencing out there. And I guess what it really boils down to is, in my mind, is whether or not there's a unified, coordinated effort to market to the visitor and the tourist, if, you know, with utilizing that money. And it, again, the HVC, I think, has been a valuable asset in the past. I would hate to, personally, I would hate to see us
I think
Cut
HBC
them
started back
completely
about
loose.
92.
Before that,
Before that?
positives before that. it's like
In this area though, it really got ramped up.
Yeah.
I'm sure I used to go to those early meetings,
Yeah, that was 92 or
93, something like that,
93.
yeah.
Just so you realize, you know, right, 2014, we're in the hole $844. So if you wanna pay the $1,500, you know, we can do that, but that's something the city will end up eating the cost of, because there's not enough revenue to cover that. So if you want to do that, you know, to cover 2014, we can do that. And then it kind of follows the tradition of the minus